Hi, welcome back. In this session, I'm going to show you how to exploit Shellshock remotely. In the previous session, we talked about how to exploit it locally, which was somewhat easier. And now I will focus on the remote exploitation. Okay. For that, I need to show you some basic environment setup first. I have this virtual machine. In fact, a couple of virtual machines. One will play as the role of a server, another will play as the role of a client or an attacker. And we will get started now. So first, I need to show you a CGA bin file that we need for our attack. I'm not attacking the server within the server. So I will first just show you the content of this file. Okay. So let me comment this line because we don't need this at this point. This program is a CGA program. We will be calling this from another machine to show you that this particular program can be remotely activated. First step, right? So we need to call this program from another terminal. Let's clear this screen. Let's get the IP address of this machine, which is 10.0.2.4. Okay. Now I'm going to go to another virtual machine and start the demo from the other virtual machine. Okay. The idea there is we will be able to send a request from another machine. Okay. Okay. Here is the client machine. Let's send a request to the server machine and get the content of the file. I'm going to use the curl command line utility, which will send a request to the server machine. So nothing exciting. It just put ** environment variables. Where is it coming from? It's coming from the server. The server is printing the message for us. That's the reason why we are getting this. Let's get back to the server now. So we should be able to look at the server and see the content of the file that we just saw. This line, okay, is coming from the server machine to the client machine. Okay, so what if we activate this line? Okay, strings command is basically going to show us the list of strings present in the environment variables, right? This is the environment variable command. This is the process ID. So we are going to see the list of environment variables on the server, but it will be shown to the client because this is the CGA program. So anything that CGA program prints out will come to the client. That's how the Apache web server works. Okay. So let's save this and get back to the client machine and then do the same thing from the machine. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is do the same. What you notice is that I'm getting a list of environment variables from the server to the client. Okay, because this test.cga program was actually showing us the list of variables. What you notice is that it is showing us the user agent. User agent is currently pointing to curl. Curl is a command line utility tool that helps us to connect to the web server. But what if we modify the user agent? Maybe we can try that and see how it behaves. Let's see if I put my agent this is fake, right? What happens now? It's showing us the same thing. This is fake. So, which is good news from well, it depends on which side of the security you're taking. It's showing us the user agent, which can be bad, of course, because as you know, we talked about Shellshock earlier. If we embed code in the environment variable, it will get executed. So the question is, can we abuse this functionality and execute some malicious code? It turned out the answer is yes, we can. So for that, what we are going to do now is we are going to get back to the client machine, right? This is the client machine, and we are going to create a listener that is going to listen for connection from the server, and then we will try to get a reverse shell from the server back to the client, like the TCP reverse shell that we talked about in another video. Okay, that's what we're going to do now. All right. So the first step is to create a listener. So let me show you that. How do I do that? I'm going to start the listener. So the client is now listening at port number 9090. Okay. So what shall we do from the curl point of view? Okay, let's clean the screen now. Curl point of view, we need to send a request to the server. Okay. So I already prepared that. It's okay. Let me print out the server path for you so that you know what I'm talking about here. Echo $server path. This is basically the IP address of the server, CGI bin, test or CGI program that we would like to reach. Okay, so we are good to go now. Hopefully this is going to give us a shell here on this prompt. Okay, let's see. I also talked about all of these things like creating a bash shell, interactive shell, redirecting to a socket, taking care of the standard input, standard output, standard error, and so on. So I'm not going to explain this again. So please watch the other video in the interest of time. Okay, what is this IP address, by the way? This is the IP address of the client machine, and that's listening at port 9090. Okay, so we are asking the server to connect back to the client. All right, let's see what happens now. What you notice is some error message coming here. That's not a problem. What is interesting though is this www minus data. Okay, what is this www minus data? In Apache web servers and in Ubuntu in particular, we will have www minus data as the username. It's a low privilege user, but at least this particular shell shows us that we did get the web server shell connected back to the client machine. So the client now has basically a remote control essentially. So now we can type who am I, right? Who am I is showing www minus data. That's a different user than the user we are here. From a client machine's perspective, we were not www data, right? We were just a regular user. So as soon as we got the reverse shell activated, we got escalated to www minus data. So that's basically it. Now we can control all of the things. Okay, we can do everything we like. You know, where are we? We are under lib CGI bin of the server. We are sitting still on the client machine, by the way, but we are able to reach to the server's folders and whatever www minus data user can do, all of the things we can do remotely. Okay, no need to be physically on the machine, of course. So that's basically it. So let me summarize what happened. So we created a user agent. In the user agent, we put in some code, right? Here is the code. Of course, the code that is interesting for us is the one that comes after the semicolon here. So we created an empty line, and then we created a bash shell, interactive bash shell. And then we asked the interactive bash shell to write data to our port number 9090. The client is listening there at 9090. And then the socket is used to write to data and read from the socket. And the server path is the path of the server that we are connecting to from the client machine. So that's basically how the Shellshock works. So let me explain why we are able to activate this and got this code executed there. The reason why it was working for us is that the old version of bash didn't filter out the code that is embedded within the variable definition. So it was just directly compiling and so quote unquote compiling, it's interpreting, right? Bash interpreter. So it will interpret this as a code and execute it for us. And that's the reason why we are able to activate this code. So it's generalizable to other web servers as well, not just Apache web servers. There are PHP web servers. Any web server that uses the system function. So let me write it here. Any web server or any function that uses the system under the hood. System is the standard C library function, right? Which eventually calls the sh function, right? The sh function is the shell function that loads our other process and execute the code. This is actually under the hood calling the bash, okay? The vulnerable bash. The vulnerable bash actually executed the code within the environment variable. Okay. All right, that's basically the reason why we got the remote code execution successful. That's all I want to show you. Thank you very much.